Mother's interrupted the course of our journey.
Seems she has intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
SOS? I don't know.
Bones have been outward. Like he exploded from inside.
This is completely enclosed, and it's full of leathery objects like eggs or something. Seems to have life, organic life.
Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. As requested, in the lead up to Halloween, today we're finally doing a deep dive of 1979's Alien. Directed by the venerable Ridley Scott, the film is a harrowing odyssey into the abyss of deep space, unfurling a tale steeped in suspense and primal horror. The narrative unfolds aboard the USCSS Nostromo, a commercial space tug returning to Earth, whose 7-member crew is inadvertently thrust into a nightmarish crucible of extraterrestrial terror. The saga begins when the crew, nestled in hypersleep, is prematurely awakened by the ship's computer, Mother, in response to a cryptic transmission emanating from a distant, uncharted planetoid. Obligated by corporate decree to investigate potential signs of intelligent life, the crew, albeit reluctantly, descends upon the barren, windswept landscape, unwittingly setting the stage for an encounter with an entity as hostile as it is unknown. This alien life form, a predator of unparalleled cunning and lethality, soon infiltrates the ship, precipitating a desperate struggle for survival. As the crew grapples with the alien menace lurking within the ship's shadowy confines, they're also ensnared by the machinations of their employer, Weyland-Yutani, a corporation with sinister, undisclosed intentions concerning the alien organism. The resulting conflict weaves a tense atmospheric web of psychological and body horror, exploring themes of isolation, corporate malfeasance, and the inexorable haunting fear of the unknown. In this video, we're going to explore the story, the xenomorph, the characters, and the amazing production of the film that launched one of my favorite franchises of all time.
If they find what they're looking for out there, does that mean we get full shares?
Don't worry, Parker. You'll get whatever's coming to you.
In the vast canvas of space, the camera reveals the silent, colossal Nostromo, a commercial starship heading back to Earth, owned by the faceless conglomerate, Weyland-Yutani. The ship is transporting a refinery and precious mineral ore, the fruits of its deep space expedition. Upon entering the interiors of the ship, we experience an eerie emptiness, with ambient noises and the low hum of machinery punctuating the silence. The tranquil state is disrupted when the ship's computer Mother springs into action, illuminating the control room and activating various consoles. It then awakens the 7 crew members, Captain Arthur Dallas, Executive Officer Kane, Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley, Navigator Joan Lambert, Science Officer Ash, Chief Engineer Dennis Parker, and his best friend, Engineering Technician Samuel Brett. As they assemble for a meal post-awakening, the crew engages in casual, natural banter, giving us an insight into their dynamics and hierarchy.
Still with us, Brett?
Right.
Still dead.
Anybody ever tell you look dead, man?
Captain Arthur Dallas, played by Tom Skerritt, is the competent leader of the group, and a seasoned spacefarer that exudes control and responsibility. John Hurt's Executive Officer Kane, both inquisitive and dedicated, is the first one to rise, depicted as cooperative and relatively optimistic about the unexpected wake-up. Warrant Officer Ellen Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, is analytical and by-the-book, displaying a commitment to protocol and safety. Veronica Cartwright's Navigator Joan Lambert, on the other hand, is visibly anxious and uneasy, offering a contrasting temperament to the more stoic personalities of their peers. Cold, calculative, and secretive, Science Officer Ash, played by Ian Holm, is a man of few words. He seems more dedicated to scientific pursuit than personal relationships, maintaining a distance from the crew. When it comes to the charismatic Chief Engineer Dennis Parker, in a wonderful performance by Yaphet Kotto, well, he's a pragmatic, outspoken individual, concerned about compensation for the risks involved. He provides comic relief, but is also a voice of clarity and self-interest. Harry Dean Stanton's engineering technician Samuel Brett, like Parker, is concerned about his share in compensation, and often echoes Parker's sentiments and concerns, functioning as his sidekick.
Right.
Whenever he says anything, you say right, Brett. You know that?
Right.
The crew discover that Mother has effectively intercepted a mysterious transmission originating from a moon named LV-426. Not just that, but they're contractually obliged to respond to potential distress signals, setting the stage for their reluctant diversion to investigate the source of the signal. Parker and Brett are particularly vocal about their concerns, primarily focused on their remuneration for this additional risk.
I'm not gonna do any more work. We get this straightened out.
You're guaranteed by law to get a share.
Meanwhile, as third in command, Ripley cautiously supports Dallas's decision to land on LV-46, while Ash appears indifferent, quietly observing the unfolding dynamics.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
I don't want to hear it.
The team soon prepares for descent, with Dallas, Kane, and Lambert designated to explore the moon's surface where the signal originates. The atmosphere is tense, with the ambient soundtrack and visuals crafting a sense of impending danger and uncertainty as the Nostromo approaches the ominous, frog-shrouded terrain of LV-426. The desolate and otherworldly landscape, veiled in mist and marked by inhospitable terrain, makes for a treacherous landing, and experiencing turbulence and technical malfunctions during their descent, the Nostromo eventually crashes onto the surface. This results in significant damage to the ship, much to the dismay of the crew, particularly the engineers Parker and Brett, who are now tasked with extensive repairs.
How long before it's functional?
17 hours, fella.
At least 25 rounds.
At the same time, Dallas, Kane, and Lambert suit up for their perilous expedition outside the ship to locate the source of the mysterious transmission. Each character's demeanor reflects their internal state. Dallas showcases stoic leadership, Kane exhibits eagerness and curiosity, while Lambert wears her anxiety plainly, apprehensive about the unknown.
Can't see a goddamn thing.
Quit griping.
I like griping.
Come on, knock it off.
Inside the Nostromo, Warrant Officer Ripley begins to harbor suspicions about the nature of the transmission. Being pragmatic and adherent to protocol, she decides to delve deeper into analyzing the signal. It's important to note that her skepticism and diligence play crucial roles in the unfolding narrative, providing a voice of reason amidst the growing chaos. Ash, on the other hand, displays subtle but distinct enthusiasm about the crew's external exploration, contrasting with its typical stoicism. Outside, Dallas, Kane, and Lambert navigate through the ominous alien topography under the weight of their cumbersome spacesuits. The environment is inhospitable and eerie, with the soundscape accentuating the alienness and danger lurking within this unfamiliar world. Back on the ship, Ripley, with Ash's somewhat reluctant assistance, works on deciphering the cryptic transmission. As the exploration team advances, they stumble upon a colossal, derelict alien spacecraft, its architecture bizarre and non-human. Driven by curiosity and a sense of duty, Kane leads the descent into the ominous hulk, with Dallas and Lambert following cautiously. As the trio tread deeper into the alien ship's abyss, they unearth disquieting visuals of the extraterrestrial's anatomy.
Bones have been outward. Like he exploded from inside.
Each stride reveals the ship's enigmatic, almost organic structure, underscoring the trio's vulnerability and insignificance in the grand canvas of the cosmos. The discovery of the fossilized remains of an enormous alien creature, subsequently dubbed the Space Jockey, marks a pivotal juncture. The image of this colossal entity, seated eternally in its command chair, instigates a palpable sense of foreboding. What is this ship? Who is this pilot? Where are his comrades? And how did he die? No doubt the questions in all of their minds. Kane's curiosity leads them closer to the Space Jockey, prompting further exploration despite Lambert's escalating apprehension. The executive officer's journey takes a darker turn as he stumbles upon a cavernous chamber teeming with alien eggs, each covered in a fine mist exuding an ominous glow.
There's a layer of mist just covering the eggs that reacts when broken.
Despite the palpable danger, Kane is drawn towards his alien artifacts, his scientific interest overshadowing caution. Meanwhile, back on the Nostromo, Ripley's suspicion about the mysterious transmission intensified, and upon deeper analysis, she makes a startling discovery. The signal may not be a distress call, but rather a warning.
It looks like a warning. I'm gonna go out after them.
What's the point? I mean, by the time it takes to get there, they'll know if it's a warning or not.
Unfortunately, Kane's decision to examine one of the eggs closely proves consequential. His proximity then triggers the egg's opening mechanism, unveiling a dreadful creature that promptly attaches itself to Kane's helmet. Hauling an unconscious Kane with the alien organism attached to his face, Dallas and Lambert attempt to re-enter the Nostromo. Standing her ground on quarantine protocols, Ripley simply refuses to let them in, but overriding her decision and favoring the order of Captain Dallas, Ash does the opposite.
Listen to me. If we break quarantine, we could all die.
In a hatch open.
His willingness to breach protocol begins to plant seeds of mistrust, subtly highlighting the diverging priorities among the crew. While Ripley advocates for safety and adherence to rules, Ash seems focused on the alien lifeform, establishing a simmering tension that will soon reach a boiling point. Dealing with the next problem, they look on at the comatose Kane and the facehugger parasite clinging to his face with an obstinate death grip. With Kane's visage obscured by the alien parasite, the infirmary transforms into a crucible of dread and conflict. Embodying an unsettling calm, Ash becomes the de facto shepherd of the medical bay, endeavoring to extract the creature. However, the facehugger anticipates encounters, tightening its grip with its tail of vice around Kane's neck.
That's not. It's tearing his skull.
I know.
Coming out for that, tearing his face off with it.
While not central to the unfolding drama, Parker, Lambert, and Brett offer a chorus of discontent and apprehension. Their roles, subtle yet significant, provide a lens for us to navigate the crew's emotional and moral compass.
Hey, how the hell's he breathing? And why don't you guys freeze him?
With every attempt to detach the facehugger, resulting in further endangerment to Kane, the alien's physiology emerges as both fascinating and terrifying. And when Ash decides to cut the creature off, the alien's blood is then revealed to be acidic, capable of corroding through the metal layers of the ship.
Gosh.
That crap's gonna eat through the hull.
Soon after, in a moment that bounces between relief and trepidation, the now seemingly dead facehugger eventually releases its grip on Kane. Against the backdrop of uncertainty and latent horror, Kane awakens, seemingly unscathed and with no recollection of the traumatic events. Tentative yet relieved, the crew decides to share a meal, a veneer of normalcy attempting to mask the undercurrents of fear and suspicion.
What happened to this guy when he came back to It's just appetite.
The galley, bathed in soft lighting, flickers with echoes of laughter and banter, casting shadows of regularity and humanity amidst an abyss of the unknown. Yet serenity is ephemeral, shattered abruptly as Kane begins to convulse, a symphony of pain and primal fear etched across his face. The table, once a sanctuary, mutates into a stage of horror. Pivoting from confusion to dread, the crew become unwilling witnesses to a horrific spectacle of birth and death entwined as an alien creature erupts from Kane's chest. The alien, now a chestburster, observes its surroundings, absorbing the tangible fear and shock on their face before making its escape, disappearing into the bowels of the Nostromo.
Anybody want to say anything?
Utterly speechless by what they witness, they perform a funeral for their fallen comrade and coalesce around a new objective, capturing the alien and blowing it out into space. To this effect, Brett engineers a makeshift cattle prod, embodying humanity's primal instinct for survival and innovation, while Ash, contributing his scientific expertise, constructs a tracking device, turning the ship's corridors into a maze of suspense and anticipation. With the crew splitting in half, the search begins with Parker, Brett and Ripley delving into the lower decks, but as the signal begins to escalate, they stumble into Jones the cat instead. Realizing the feline would continue to confuse their instruments, Parker and Ripley instruct Brett to capture Jones while they continue the search. The atmosphere aboard the Nostromo is gravid with anticipation and dread as the unseen predator lurks within its metallic bowels. Despite already having killed Kane, its small size lulls them into a relative sense of security, especially Brett, who embarks on his hunt for Jones with a blend of reluctance and nonchalance.
Jonesy! Jonesy!
Amidst the ominous and claustrophobic setting, he stumbles upon a discarded skin, an eerie translucent husk that heralds the alien's relentless and horrifying metamorphosis. Despite finally locating Jones, seeing it hiss back for some reason, he turns around to find the alien, now a grotesque masterpiece of biomechanical horror, observing its prey silently, who, frozen with fear and transfixed with awe, just stares back. Alerted by the symphony of screams and chaos, Ripley and Parker arrive just in time to witness the alien take his body up into the airshaft. The alien, portrayed by Balaji Badeo, is not merely a character, but an embodiment of primordial fear, a lurking manifestation of the unknown that serves both as a central antagonist and a symbolic exploration of life's indomitable, often terrifying perseverance and evolution. Its design, a nightmarish concoction by Swiss artist H.R. Geiger, is a masterpiece of biomechanical horror. Its elongated head, razor-sharp teeth, and exoskeletal exterior invoke both fascination and repulsion, an uncanny valley of life-form design that's hauntingly foreign yet eerily humanoid. The creature's retractable inner jaw, capable of penetrating through both metal and bone, adds another layer of deadly elegance to its chilling physical profile. Its life cycle, from egg to facehugger to chestburster to then adult, is a grotesque parody of human birth and maturation. Each stage is both parasitic and predatory, relentlessly driven to propagate and annihilate. And there's one final stage in the extended cut, which we'll dive into towards the end. The xenomorph also displays a cunning intelligence and adaptability, navigating through the Nostromo's maze-like interiors with stealthy efficiency, making it not just a monster, but a dynamic presence that feels almost invincible.
Move! Get out of there! Don't you move!
Its blind drive for survival mirrors the crew's desperate attempts to live, albeit in a twisted, inhuman manifestation. Once they lift off from LV-426, the alien effectively drives the narrative not just through its actions, but through its mere existence and implications, and the characters' responses to it, ranging from Dallas fearing for his crew, Ripley's courageous defiance, Kane's enthusiasm, Parker's anger, Lambert's terror, Brett's reserved indifference to Ash's cold admiration, illuminates humanity's multifaceted reactions to crisis and the unknown.
Who gets to go into the vent?
I do.
No. Take the main airlock, you cover up that maintenance opening.
With the crew dwindled and dread escalating, Captain Dallas takes decisive action. Emboldened by duty, he opts to confront the menace within the belly of the ship alone, armed with a makeshift flamethrower. The plan is to force it into a chamber and blow it out into space, but the mood is grey. As Dallas prepares, Ripley, Parker, and Lambert undertake supportive roles, each reflecting the undercurrent of their personality. Ripley exudes a cautious but steadfast resolve. Parker grapples with a simmering, helpless rage, and Lambert, wearing her anxiety like a second skin, oscillates between despair and frantic cooperation.
Dallas?
You're gonna have to hold your position for a minute. I've lost the signal.
Their reactions not only mirror their individual personalities, but also amplify the pervasive tension and uncertainty permeating the Nostromo's atmosphere. With a flamethrower in hand and an air of grim determination, Dallas descends into the narrow, ominous ducts. The environment within is claustrophobic, almost sentient, with its labyrinthine design and oppressive darkness, which mirrors the biomechanical innards of the alien ship. The camera then follows Dallas, capturing the stifling tightness and the heartbeat-like echoes resounding through the metallic maze. Each step he takes is weighed down by anticipation and fear, his flamethrower casting long shadows and fleeting illuminations, playing a visual symphony of light and darkness.
Get out of there! Don't you move! Dallas! Move, Dallas!
With her trembling hands and a gaze glued to the motion tracker, Lambert does her best to navigate Dallas, but is limited by her 2D sensors. She knows how far the alien is, but is unable to communicate the direction it's coming from, with multiple vents reaching every level of the air ducts. Unfortunately, the alien draws closer, turning the hunt into a desperate race against time and instinct, culminating in Dallas getting taken by the xenomorph. The camera then cuts back to the crew, their faces etched with horror, shock, and loss.
Dallas? No.
Take it easy. Dallas?
Cornered not just by the physical constraints of the Nostromo, but by the unfolding terror that methodically picks them apart, the crew starts to momentarily fray. With Dallas and Kane now gone, Ripley, resilient yet visibly shaken, takes on the mantle of leadership, vowing to access Mother's records herself and figure out what was really going on. Her stoic exterior thinly veils the anxiety within, but her determination becomes a beacon for the crew.
I'm for killing that goddamn thing right now.
Well, let's talk about killing it. We know it's using the air shafts. Will you listen to me, Parker?
It's important to note that what makes Ripley such a great protagonist for me is that she isn't impervious to fear, but rather chooses to navigate through it with a grit that's both admirable and inspiring. Parker embodies a mix of raw emotion and pragmatism, trying to keep it together while the reality crumbles around him. Lambert, on the other hand, showcases palpable vulnerability and fear, providing a contrasting energy that heightens the tense atmosphere.
No, you're out of your mind. I said that we abandoned the ship, but he picked us up.
The shuttle won't take 4.
It's not long until Ripley makes a horrific discovery.
There is an explanation for this, you know.
The sinister depths of corporate manipulation and the unfeeling pursuit of profit are brought to the fore as the quiet treachery of Ash is laid bare. Played with chilling subtlety by Home, Ash is revealed to be an android with allegiance not to the crew, but to the company's clandestine objective, to secure the alien life form at all costs, even human life. You see, upon intercepting and semi-deciphering the signal emitting from LV-426, Weyland-Yutani strategically dispatched the commercial freighter to delve into the unknown and potentially secure a specimen. To the unsuspecting crew, stumbling upon the enigmatic transmission during their homeward voyage was nothing more than serendipity, compelling them to probe further, whilst aligning seamlessly with the established protocols of Weyland-Yutani. In the shadows, however, Ash was silently maneuvering the chessboard, with his eyes set firmly on his mission. Governed by the ironclad directives of Special Order 937, to Ash, the human lives on the ship were relegated to mere pawns, expendable and trivial. With the warrant officer about to sound the alarm to Parker and Lambert, Ash straight up hurls Ripley around the room before trying to suffocate her to death. Luckily, her human crew arrived just in time to save her. This action-packed sequence culminating in Ash's head being knocked off, revealing his android nature, is both shocking and visually striking, offering a brief but potent moment of triumph for the crew. Of course, the victory is short-lived when they remember that there was a far more dangerous threat than the company they still needed to deal with. Here, the desperate and dwindling crew decides on a gambit, to initiate the Nostromo's self-destruct sequence and retreat to the shuttle, in hopes that the monstrous alien would be annihilated in the explosion. The decision isn't made lightly. It's a tangible surrender, a sacrifice of their homebound vessel, and a plunge into uncertainty. Yet the looming threat necessitates desperate measures. And so, while Lambert and Parker went off to gather coolant for the shuttle's life support system, Ripley begins to set the entire vessel to blow up in 7 minutes.
Jones.
As Ripley ventures into the hollow metallic bowels of the ship, every step she takes and every glance she throws over her shoulder oozes with tension and expectancy. Amidst the swirling chaos, the distant meows of Jones bellows through the corridor. A semblance of normalcy, and perhaps a flicker of the life they once knew, Jones becomes an inadvertent symbol of home for Ripley. And despite the ticking clock and the lurking doom, she ventures to find the cat, showcasing her indomitable will and humanity amidst the inhuman circumstances. Simultaneously, Lambert and Parker, engrossed in their essential task, obliviously inch closer to doom. As they gather supplies, the alien creeps up between them. Unaware until the final moment, Lambert finds herself cornered, and unable to use the flamethrower without burning her, Parker courageously lunges at the alien. While his plan was to give her time to run away, frozen in fear, Lambert watches helplessly as the creature brutally injures Parker before attacking her. Discovering the horrific fate of her comrades and now truly alone, Ripley is forced to run towards the shuttle, her face etched with grim determination and sorrow. It's important to note that here in the extended cut, she actually stumbles onto a chamber filled with the eerie and organic structure of the alien's hive, where she finds Dallas and Brett, or what remains of them.
Kill me.
This grotesque tableau adds another layer of horror to the narrative, showcasing how the alien has been using the crew not just as food, but as part of its terrifying reproductive cycle. After burning what remained of her crew, entrenched in her resolve to survive, she makes a quick dash towards the escape shuttle with Jones. The atmosphere is taut with suspense, each moment weighed down by the invisible yet palpable presence of the alien lurking in the shadows, disguised by the alarms and flashing lights.
1 minute.
With the clock ticking menacingly in the background, marking the countdown to the Nostromo self-destruct sequence, Ripley sees the alien. But unable to muster the courage to confront the creature, she makes her way back to the self-destruct mechanism to halt the inevitable explosion. However, despite her frantic efforts, Ripley is unable to override the sequence. With no other options, Ripley decides to confront the alien and picks up the carrier holding Jones, before making a final sprint towards the escape shuttle. Her journey is accompanied by the dramatic orchestration of alarms, the hiss of steam and the flicker of lights, crafting a sensory experience that leaves us on the edge of our seat. But as she approaches the relative quietude of the shuttle, she breathes a sigh of relief to find the xenomorph had gone. With Ripley then finally initiating the launch sequence, the shuttle detaches itself from the Nostromo, gliding away from the mothership moments before it erupts in a colossal explosion. Here the audience is lulled into a deceptive sense of closure. That is until she prepares for hypersleep and discovers the alien had stowed away on the shuttle, concealed within the mechanical enclave. Keeping her composure and clad in a spacesuit, Ellen straps herself to the jump seat and blows it out of the airlock, showing her transformation from a by-the-books officer to a formidable survivor.
I was running through titles and they all stank. One morning at 3 o'clock, that word alien came up out of the typewriter at me. It's a noun and it's an adjective.
Dan said, somehow the monster has to get on board the ship in a way that'll amaze everybody. And so I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, Dan, I have an idea. The monster screws one of the people. He says, what? What are you talking about? And we just sat up all night and we wrote, and in 3 weeks, we had I would say, which is 85% of what you saw.
The character arc of Ripley forms the narrative spine. Initially presented as a warrant officer with a stickler for rules demeanor, Ripley evolves into the saga's tenacious and resourceful heroine. She isn't infallible or immune to fear. Her strength emanates from her ability to confront the terror.
Ship will automatically destruct
Ripley's skepticism towards Ash and dedication to protocol highlight her intelligence and survival instinct, making her ascension to leadership natural and earned. It goes without saying that Weaver delivers a career-defining performance as Ellen Ripley, transforming from a protocol-abiding officer to an iconic action heroine with both grit and grace. She effortlessly carries the emotional weight of the story, embodying resilience, intelligence, and vulnerability that make her a character to root for.
You two go down, get all the coolant you can carry. I'll get the shuttle ready. Come back up here and we'll blow this fucker off into space.
Executive Officer Kane, though with limited screen time, serves a pivotal function in the story. His exploration and subsequent infection set the horror into motion. Kane is portrayed as curious and somewhat adventurous, attributes that inadvertently lead to the crew's exposure to the alien threat, and Hurd is memorable as the unfortunate adventurer, with his affable demeanor and daring spirit making his character's horrifying end all the more shocking and tragic. The actor handles the iconic chestburster scene with a physicality and intensity that continue to unsettle audiences to this day. It also helps that Ridley Scott made sure the cast were unaware of what exactly was going to happen to him, making their reactions genuine. As the Nostromo's captain, Dallas exudes a quiet authority. He's depicted as a weary leader, burdened yet decisive, wrestling with the responsibilities his position thrusts upon him. His character explores the theme of leadership during crisis, with his ultimate sacrifice underscoring the narrative's relentless unpredictability. While he plays a character bound by duty and corporate allegiance, Skerritt injects enough warmth and humanity into Dallas to make his eventual fate poignant and tragic.
We've got to have something to eat before we go back.
One more meal before bedtime, I'm buying.
Hey, that's a break.
Later revealed to be an android, Ash serves as a secondary antagonist. His seeming distant and objective demeanor conceals a sinister programming directive that aligns him with the company's covert desires. His character cleverly intertwines themes of corporate deception and the ethical quagmires posed by artificial intelligence. And it goes without saying that Ian Holm's performance as a science officer with ulterior motives is chillingly effective. With his measured tone and unsettling calmness, Holm brings an undercurrent of menace and unpredictability to Ash, making his eventual reveal as an android all the more disturbing and impactful. Parker provides a grounded, working-class perspective amidst the unfolding chaos. He's pragmatic, vocal about his monetary compensation, and displays a robust sense of humor. As the narrative tightens its grip, Parker transitions from a somewhat self-serving individual to a team player, willing to face danger for the collective good. Yaphet brings a strong, charismatic presence aboard the Nostromo. As the chief engineer, he provides much-needed comic relief, yet Cotto also conveys the character's intelligence and determination without turning him into a caricature. Consistently throughout the film, he has some of the most intelligent observations.
I wanted you guys freeze him.
Molecular acid. Must be using it for blood.
It's got a wonderful defense mechanism. You don't dare kill it.
Parker's sidekick, Brett, echoes the latter's working-class consciousness and concerns. Although his character doesn't undergo significant development, Brett humanizes the story further, offering moments of levity and vulnerability amidst the encroaching darkness. Stanton brings a weary, everyman quality to the ship engineer. He imbues Brett with a kind of blue-collar relatability, crafting a character who's at once familiar and sympathetic. His interactions with the other characters are understated yet rich, offering moments of humor and humanity amid the unfolding horror.
Shouldn't damage a little bastard, but it will give him a little incentive.
Navigator Joan Lambert embodies the audience's fear. Her palpable anxiety and trepidation serves the emotional barometer for the unfolding horror, and the character subtly challenges the audience to empathize with the paralyzing fear that accompanies facing a perfect organism. With her performance brimming with palpable tension and terror that feel contagious, Cartwright is the audience's surrogate. She masterfully navigates the landscape of anxiety and despair, delivering a performance that's both heartfelt and nerve-wracking.
What is going on?
Finally, but not least, Balaji Badeo, in his sole film role, brings the titular alien to terrifying life. Standing at over 7 feet tall, his slender, elongated physique contributes significantly to the creature's otherworldly and menacing presence. Though hidden behind layers of prosthetics and costume, Badeo's movements are eerily graceful and predatory, creating a sense of uncanny horror that defines the film. To me, the brilliance in the development of these characters lies in how ordinary they are. They aren't superheroes or seasoned warriors, they're everyday workers navigating through an extraordinary and horrifying situation. This relatability, coupled with nuanced performances and a situation that is as engaging as it is terrifying, enabled Alien to transcend its genre trappings and become a timeless cinematic masterpiece.
What Alien says about us now are those fears that we have, which may be those fears that show up when we're dreaming, the nightmares.
Dan O'Bannon's script for Alien is a clever exercise in tension building. From the moment the crew is awakened to the cataclysmic finale, there's a gradual but relentless escalation of stakes and horror. The dialogue is sparing but impactful, with characters speaking in terse, practical language befitting of their professional roles.
Bring back life form. All other priorities rescinded.
As a damn company. What about our lives, you son of a bitch?
There's a naturalism and economy to the way they communicate, and the script excels in allowing what's unsaid to carry as much weight as what is verbalized.
Unfortunately, by breaking quarantine, you risk everybody's life. It's a pretty big risk for a science officer.
Pacing is another area where the script shines brilliantly, with the narrative unfolding with a deliberate, almost hypnotic rhythm that mirrors the inexorable approach of the titular alien itself. The elegance of the writing lies in its restraint, in understanding that the most profound terrors are those that are barely glimpsed and scarcely understood.
He did something no director's ever done before or since. He had about 5 or 6 pages of each character, and this is the actor's work usually, but he had my whole history written out on paper.
Over the years, I've learned to communicate differently with actors on different subjects. Sometimes it's best to say nothing and let them evolve, right? And then instruct.
Well, you know, I was from the theater, and I didn't realize that some actors really love to improvise, and Yaphet was certainly one of those. And everyone just sort of went for it, which was actually a great learning experience. And it helps the film, because I think we were on edge, and we were, you know, into a survival mode. So I think it works very well.
The production department and Ridley Scott's direction is damn near perfect. His attention on the minutiae of the film's visual language, his understanding of pacing and tension, and his ability to coax nuanced, believable performances from his cast all contribute to the film's enduring success. Under his direction, Alien is not merely a horror film set in space, but a meditation on isolation, the unknown, and the relentless, impersonal terror of the cosmos.
I always felt it was a straightforward action thriller, and we're going to watch them each get taken out by this terrible beast. That's as B-movie as you can get.
I think they agreed, is that you had to treat this kind of B monster movie as though it were an A movie.
But Fox hated Giger's work because they said, this is so ghastly, it's too much, it's repulsive. We said, no, it's done so beautifully. It all depends on the way the director utilizes it.
I just thought it was stunning, and I just stuck to my guns saying, no, that's it. Just to get this right is going to be incredibly difficult.
The director's vision is executed with a precise and careful eye for detail by the masterful cinematographer, Derek Van Lint. The camera moves with a deliberation and tension, mirroring the crew's tentative steps, with each frame meticulously composed to emphasize both the isolation of space and the lurking, unseen horror awaiting its moment to strike.
So Ridley had said to me one day, he said, I'm going to cast every other role with the most brilliant actor I can that doesn't need help from me, because I'm going to concentrate on the visual style.
I mean, Ridley pushes everybody. He tends to concentrate on all aspects of the frame. In other words, he's painting his picture.
The film's special effects are groundbreaking for the time and remain impressively tangible and visceral today. The use of practical effects, miniatures, and puppetry provides a tactile, physical presence to the alien creature and the environments, lending the horror a tangible, immediate quality often missing in modern, CGI-laden productions.
I was convinced that it wasn't a small picture, that the way to do it was to scale it up, to do it with whatever sense of craft and design, and to make it an A picture.
With a story that's as often told as this kind of story is, you have to do it in a special way in order for it to be special. I mean, that's was our argument with Fox all the time, and I think they agreed.
The whole thing pivoted on believing a number of rather fantastic things. And it was very clear that if the monster looked silly, you know, the whole thing was a lost cause.
One of the production's masterstrokes was enlisting Swiss surrealist artist H.R. Giger. Geiger's haunting biomechanical aesthetic profoundly influenced the film's visual language and the franchise as a whole, especially with the design of the eponymous alien and the derelict spacecraft. His work imbued the film with a unique nightmarish quality, blending organic and mechanical elements in sexual ways previously unseen in cinema.
Dan opened Necronomicon, Giger's book. We were just stunned. Same thing with Ridley. First second that Ridley saw Giger's work, he knew the biggest single design problem had been solved.
Ridley wants that I do the three monsters. That was the facehugger, the chestburster, and the big alien. This is the painting that Ridley Scott wanted to have for his film.
This is beautiful, not just threatening, and also has very sexual connotations. So in everything, it's like a rather beautiful humanoid, biomechanoid insect.
Meanwhile, the Nostromo's interior was conceived by artists Ron Cobb and Chris Foss, whose designs reflect a used industrial feel, enhancing the believability of the spacecraft as a working vessel. The set's labyrinthine corridors and cramped spaces played a crucial role in building tension throughout the film.
Walking on those sets and seeing the richness of design and texture, it began to get to you literally physically. And then, of course, when we started to shoot and Ridley pumped the smoke in there.
But the space jockey was one of those things I said, look, I can't cheat this, you know. It's got to be real.
But Ridley and I kept after me. He said, look, you got to have the people walking in, not miniatures, camera pull back, and they're on this thing, and it's the most amazing set you've ever seen. Your jaw drops.
As with every horror film, the sound design is an unsung hero in Alien, playing a crucial role in establishing atmosphere and tension. The sound palette is minimal but impactful, with the emptiness of space accentuated by the humming and throbbing of the ship's machinery, the sound of water dripping, the distant echoes through its steel corridors, and the sudden, jarring cacophonies of alarms and creature sounds erupting in the silence.
When you look at the first cut of a film like Alien, you've really got to use your imagination, because there's no sound, for one thing. Lots of those scenes were shot with all these noisy machines or effects working on the stages.
When you see the film with a proper mix and big sound, you can hear a lot of very subtle sounds that are working on your paranoia, and I think these atmospherics are terribly important.
The score by Jerry Goldsmith is subtly woven into the film's fabric, often blending so seamlessly with the sound design that it's hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. It provides an eerie, unsettling backdrop to the visuals, underscoring the tension and horror without overwhelming the senses, and complements the amazing editing.
The editing process on this, plus mix, music and mix, because it's Jerry Goldsmith's score, I think probably was maybe 20 weeks.
When I read it, I thought myself, this is going to be one of the scariest things if we can get it right. And I think the way we did get it right is by keeping it slow, because you sucked people into a corner and then attack them, so to speak.
Alien stands as a testament to the power of masterful direction and technical execution. Its combination of visual design, sound, editing, and special effects crafts an experience that is as engaging and terrifying today as it was the time of its release.
Did you know that this was an R-rated movie when you brought him?
Yes, we did.
Are you sorry you brought him?
Yes, I am.
Are you glad you saw it? Yeah.
With iconic characters, a meticulously crafted atmosphere of dread, an ingenious monster, and a plot that's inspired countless imitations, Alien stands as a monument of cinematic storytelling, a chilling odyssey into the unknown that continues to haunt the collective imagination to this day.
I think he took a lot of techniques from Alfred Hitchcock in the sense that you don't really see everything. The imagination is used, and I think that's what made it so terrifying.
I just couldn't get over the look of it. You know, the sets were fantastic, the lighting was great. When you get his rushes, it's like walking through an art gallery. Everything is great, you want to dwell on everything.
With that said, that's all for today, folks. A huge thanks to everyone that requested we finally do a deep dive of Alien. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and check out the Film Comics Explained podcast on the second channel. And if there's anything else you'd like for me to cover, please don't hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility. I admire its purity. I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.